Welcome to KoozaCast, where we interview some of the most influential people in tourism from around the world. My name is Graham Watson, and I'm the founder of Kooza Global. The word Kooza means a new dawn, and in 2023, we want to find out just how our guests are working towards that new dawn. Join us and subscribe to future episodes as we hope to inspire you with stories of strength and resilience in the tourism industry. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of KoozaCast. Today, my guest is Zile de Kock, who is the Executive Marketing Manager of Marine Dynamics. How are you doing today, Zile?
I am very well, thank you very much, Graham. I'm talking to you from a beautiful Cape Town. We had some lovely rain and it's a beautiful day here.
Oh, lovely to hear. And as I said earlier, it's so lovely to see the smiling faces back in the tourism industry again as we all rise up and get back to work and see the lovely guests and tourists filling up all our experiences that we have to offer in Africa in particular. So the way the podcast works, just introduce yourself, tell the listeners who you are and a little bit about Marine Dynamics and what kind of experience the guests can get.
Yes, I'm, as you said, I'm Zile de Kock. I have been with Marine Dynamics for almost 20 years. Wilfred Schiffel is the owner, and he started Marine Dynamics we actually bought it in January 2005, sorry, not 2020, what a silly year. Anyway,
yeah. The year we don't speak about.
Yeah, sorry. So, and then as soon as he bought the company, he was looking for somebody to help him and to market his trips that he was going to do, which is today we're doing shark cage diving, whale watching, eco-marine trips, volunteer programs. We have a lot of conservation and educational projects and programs. But in 2005, we started with nothing. And we literally built this company up from nothing. And it was an amazing experience over the last couple of years. As all of you know, you go through many ups and downs, but all the ups always make up for the downs. And what started with a little company with about 3 to 5 employees, we are today about 160 people working for Marine Dynamics. And it's a real pleasure to be with this marine family for all these years.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I had a great experience, the shark diving, which was really, really awesome. And I got to learn a lot. And so, I mean, just describe the day. So the guests would get picked up in Cape Town like very, very early and then come through to you for a lovely breakfast and then head out on the experience.
Yes, so our trips are normally full day trips. Unless you stay in Hermanus or in Gansbaai itself, because Nature Reserve is also very close to us.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yes, we have shuttles every day between Cape Town. We pick the guests up at the different hotels or wherever they stay in the CBD of Cape Town. We take them through to our lovely facility, the Great White House. Here we have a restaurant. We can cater for any dietary requirements. So they eat a lovely little breakfast there before they go on the boats. We have different boats, as I said, the shark boat for shark cage diving and viewing, and then a boat for the whale watching or the Marine Big Five trip. The Marine Big Five consists out of whales, seals, penguins, dolphins, and sharks. And many of our trips, we are successful to see all 5 of these amazing marine species. What's important, it's also an educational trip, as you said. There's always a marine biologist on board that tell the guests more about the animals that they see. And because we do research on these amazing animals in the area that we work, we can also give them some extra information and tell them more about that. On the boat, it's very comfortable aluminium vessels, very stable on the water. We have no age restriction. And also, we guarantee one guide for every 3 to 4 guests to make sure they are comfortable on the boat. And then back to land at the Great White House for some nice soup and bread. They can refreshen up. There's shower facilities, bathroom facilities. And we also have the African Penguin and Seabird Sanctuary, where we look after sick and ill birds, mainly the African penguin. So they can also visit that free of charge and see what we do there.
Sounds like, it's definitely an amazing day and a fantastic experience. So, and then yeah, and then the guests come back and then get back to Cape Town. So it's a
That's right.
lovely
Yes.
full day experience. So yeah, just tell. I mean, how did you get into tourism? I mean, what's your background?
Yeah, I studied in Stellenbosch, and then I went in those years. We still had that working holiday visa in the UK, so
Oh
lots of
yes.
us went overseas for a year or two. So I studied first, and then I went overseas, and then I came back, and I I did different things, but yeah, the one thing that I did before I started to work for Wilfred, I was the manager of a beautiful guest house in Stellenbosch. And my husband at that stage he's a chartered accountant and he was working at one of the companies in Stellenbosch. And Wilfred was their client. And they called me the morning and said, there's a client of us that bought a new company and he's looking for somebody for marketing.
Hmm.
And we thought, maybe you can do it. So it was really a coincidence. I didn't apply for the job, but I met Wilfred. And yeah, and he said, I look like I can do this job. The
Yeah.
interesting thing in South Africa, I am from the Northern Cape. My father is a sheep farmer, so it's very dry there. We can't really swim, we can't really speak English. So
Hmm.
I landed up in this amazing job at the sea with marine animals, Afrikaans girl from the farm. And so in the beginning, it was a big joke in our family. But yeah, they soon saw the passion I have for this amazing company and job, and I just love it. Yes.
Oh, good, good. Well, Zile, yeah, you're always a ray of light when you talk about, yeah, very passionate the way you talk about the experience. So yeah, I think that's what drives people to want to experience it. Um, so how? I mean, you obviously have to get up quite early a lot of the days when you host. I mean, how often do you host people on the boats?
Oh, every day. Yes, every day. Uh, our only enemy is the weather
Yeah,
conditions. If it's
yeah.
bad weather conditions, we can't go out to sea. But
Mm.
yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, sometimes our trips go out very early in the morning because the little harbour that we launch from, Plainby Harbour, is very shallow. So we always have to watch the tides also.
Mm.
So the tides and the weather conditions is the only thing that's really making it a little bit difficult for us sometimes. But yeah, so some mornings we really have to start early, but the early bird catches the worm. So it's
Yeah.
always worth it to see that beautiful sunrise when you're on the boat and yeah, have that beautiful morning experience.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's great. So, just, I mean, obviously the last 3 years were terribly trying for a lot of tourism businesses. How did Marine Dynamics adapt, and how did you cope when complete and utter lockdown? I mean, you've got the boats that you obviously still had to maintain, and all that costs money. So how did you guys get through?
Yeah, I think for all of us it was extremely difficult because we couldn't operate. I mean, that
Yeah,
was just we were not
yeah.
allowed to. And we actually were very fortunate. In October 2020, one Sunday night, I got a call from a friend in tourism that's in the UK. And there was a tender out in Saudi for starting marine tourism in Saudi.
Yeah.
And they asked Wilfred, because he's such a pioneer in marine tourism, if he can't come over and help them to start this whole business. So Wilfred, the owner of the company that's already in his 60s, went over. He worked very, very, very hard for many months, many weeks, and he helped them to sort of start a new business that side, which we are still part of today. It is challenging to be this side and also have a business up there, but that really helped us financially to just keep things sort of going and
Yeah.
not let go of everything. And then I think all of us learned through this time you cut costs. You just cut down on everything.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we did all of that. And then as soon as we could start to operate again, obviously there was no tourists in South Africa. So we started obviously with specials for our locals.
Mm.
And that also helped us. I mean, we didn't even break even, but at least it
Mm.
helped us to to have people to get a little bit of the income, to keep our staff sort of motivated. At least there's people, at
Mm.
least we're doing something. Yes, and I think for all of us, maybe there's other companies that's more fortunate, it's still going to take a while to get where we were or where we're supposed to be. But I
Mm,
think all of us are just so thankful that we've been through those bad days and we can look
mm,
back and say, wow, we learned a lot, but we can just go flat out now again. And I think anybody in any company that survived this horrible 3 years, I mean, I can just say, well done. It
yeah,
wasn't easy. Yeah, I think for me, some of it is a little bit of a blank. I think the brain
yeah,
just cut it out some way, and then you just
yeah,
just go on, and you forget about those mornings that you wake up and think, what the hell are we going to do? And yeah,
yeah,
it's just getting longer and longer. But yeah, I think a
yeah.
lot of positive came out of it.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's very many different stories that people have, and yeah, I think people, yeah, learned, as you say, learned a lot, and there's going to be a lot that people take forward into the future that they learned. Yeah, I mean, so Saudi Arabia, that's pretty interesting because I know that they're doing quite a lot of work in Saudi Arabia to build up tourism. There's a massive hundreds of billions of dollars, I believe, getting plowed into the tourism industry there. So, yeah, that's must have been a pretty interesting experience.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
haven't visited our play or yeah, it's in Jeddah, so but yeah, I will probably go sometime
yeah,
and see. Yeah,
that's great, and at least yeah, that brought in some much needed cash.
yeah,
Um, and also, I mean, you mentioned that the locals, like a lot of properties and experiences relied on the locals, and I've always just said, you know, we can't forget, you know, now that everyone's coming back on board, and I still think that people should have local special offers going forward. I think, you know, the we can't forget about the local South Africans who kept a lot of businesses afloat. And I
mm,
think just as a gesture of goodwill, you know, to have at least a couple seats or a couple rooms available for local South Africans who, you know, at rates that they can afford. Because I mean, let's admit it, we price for the international market, don't we? Yeah, in the
yeah,
pounds and the dollars and the
yeah,
euros.
yeah. We do, and I mean, with the South African special, we can't survive. I mean, it's
Yeah,
something
of
else.
course. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
bit of,
yeah.
but like you say, for sure, we always have to give. And I must say, before COVID, we got South Africans, but normally in our December which is our summer holidays in South Africa,
Yeah.
and we. I think we always sort of thought they're not really interesting in these trips, but suddenly, yeah, it's just amazing. And I also think all of us realize that we must do things in life. We can't just every day in South Africa do your same little old thing by yourself. We have
Yeah.
all these amazing activities. Do
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so what is I mean, what did you learn about the tourism industry as a whole?
Oh
Um,
man. Yeah, I think I just learned again. The tourism industry is so small, even in the world, not just in South Africa. And I mean, we've helped each other through this time amazingly, especially in
mm,
South Africa. All of us had a little side hustle.
yeah.
So even the tourism people, we all had a side hustle that we helped each other. This one sold tuna. You
Mm,
you help him sell it in your neighborhood. This one sell this. This one do this. I started to do homemade meals,
mm,
and through that I learned so many amazing tourism people that living on my doorstep that I never knew and that
yeah.
I didn't knew is in my area. So I just learned again, and I think we just made I think our friendship in tourism just grew so much stronger in
Mm,
COVID, and we really helped each other. We really looked after each other, and we also looked after each other health and well-being, and not just how can I help you physically, but also how can I help you? Are you okay today?
yeah.
Checking into each other, calling each other regularly, like
Mm,
just encouraging each other, and that I think I will remember for the rest of my life. I even feel a bit teary now if I think
yeah,
about
yeah.
how people just called you out of the blue that you haven't spoken to for
Yeah.
a year or whatever, and just like checking in. So yeah, I think that was amazing, and I think after COVID, it's just yeah, I think all of us are just so much more loyal to each other. Not that we were not before it, but and we really try to make time for each other and to support each other.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. The friendships that were formed, I think it's human nature to try and look for the good in the bad, and I think that when we do look for the good in the bad, that's what we'll come through. It's yeah, the friendships that we formed, the sides to people that we never saw, because the way I see it is that everybody was in the same boat, excuse the pun.
Yes,
But
exactly.
and there was nobody, not even the executives, that knew if they had a job, because there was just no money coming in, and nobody knew for how long.
Yes.
And so I think, yeah, that spirit of we're in this together definitely holds through. And for me, I just hope it continues. I hope it continues, that we don't forget those people that you say are still struggling, because it's as much as there's a lot of light and a lot of positivity and a lot of hope and a lot of people getting back to work, and almost full, the full hotels and boats and stuff like that. There are still a lot of people that are still struggling, and we can't forget those people. Yeah.
For
So
sure.
yeah, and it's also we need to understand that, yeah, a lot of people are looking out and feeling that, oh no, look, everyone else is doing so well, and I'm still struggling. And I feel that that's also a bit false, because if you actually had to drill down, um it's a lot of people. Yeah, I think there's the LinkedIn life, and then there's the real life. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. and
Yeah.
um and so, I mean, it's there's a lot of entrepreneurs coming through, a lot of small businesses. You've been doing what you do now for 20 years, been through a lot. South Africa has been through a lot in tourism. Of course, the last 3 years was just out of the park. Like, what advice would you give to someone who's starting out, and the advice when tough times come through?
I would definitely, anybody that's starting out, ask for help. Go find out who's the big players in the industry, not even for even the entrepreneurs. Go and talk to people, ask for
Mm,
advice, ask for help. I mean, join Satsa, join
mm,
these many platforms that you can, where you can get help, and never be shy. In tourism, we are really always sharing ideas and brainstorming together, because yeah, the better we are, the better tourism in South Africa are.
mm.
So I think that's very important. Never be shy to ask. Never be, yeah, just and join the different things that's available, where we do sit together and talk together about
Mm.
what is happening. Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of networking events that happen, and that are free. I mean, these associations, like you mentioned, SATSA. It can be a few $100 a month. Now, even for some people, that's too much, but I think the long term benefit is definitely worth it, because yeah, you're meeting the right people. And yeah, as a lot of people have said on the podcast, that asking for advice and talking to fellow people is the way to go. And I don't think
Yeah.
there's any room for competition. Like, people aren't going to not give you advice because they're worried that you're going to
Yeah.
come in and steal their job.
And then yeah, the other thing is obviously hard work. It's like
Yeah.
like from us, I remember from day one, you have to just, and it never stops, and you have to try everything that you can and see what is your niche market, and focus on that. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people when everybody says, "Oh, I'm so busy," and I say, "Well, be grateful. Be
Yeah.
grateful. Would you
Exactly.
rather?" I always said I'd rather be busy than broke. And
Exactly.
yeah, the more the busier I am, the happier I am.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, so, because particularly of the last 3 years, it's. I mean, I don't know how many of us, as much as we tried to get out there and do and keep busy and everything. I mean, there were a few times when you just sat on the couch and thought, what
Yeah.
the hell.
Exactly.
Yet another day of of this craziness. But yeah, I mean, I kept busy. I started my business, and then I decided to do the Kuza cookbook, which is actually still online if people want to go check out the
I
Kuza
will check it
cookbook.
out just now.
Yeah, because there's loads of recipes from all over the continent, and yeah, and even like Gold Restaurant sent us some recipes. So yeah, there's a cookbook, and so yeah, so that's how I kept busy, and then we did of course online training as well.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people are doing, and I think one of the lasting things for me, I think, in that will go through is the people's happiness for online meetings like we're doing now. You know, I think that the days of arranging a meeting, I think it's almost implied that it's online now rather than face to face.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're right. No, and I think all of us got so much more comfortable with it, especially in South Africa. This wasn't really something that we did before COVID, and
No.
now it's
Yeah.
nothing. Every day you have some sort of meeting online, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those things.
And it all helps with the cost cutting, you know,
Exactly.
because as you know, very few people, very few companies, I suppose, are back to where they were, and you know they still need to just keep those costs down while they plow the money back into the business.
For
So
sure.
yeah, no, I'm perfectly happy with meeting online. It's you know, it's obviously the face to face is hugely important,
Yeah,
but when it's I'd rather have an online meeting than not to have a meeting at all. You know, if
exactly.
people say, "Oh no, I'm not going to be in the office," we'll say, "Well, can you just pick up your phone and smile
Yeah.
into the camera and we can chat then?" Yeah. Um, what would you like to see? I mean, what are the challenges in marine dynamics? I mean, I think the perception of perhaps yeah, I mean the chumming of the sharks. I mean, there's all that kind of negative perception or incorrect perception, I should say. What challenges does marine dynamics face in projecting the correct information out to the guests?
I think that's something the challenging thing. But I think over the years with what we did and all the training that we did over the past, that is not our main concern anymore. Our main concern are the marine wildlife,
Mm-hmm.
the poaching, the um, littering. We can see a decline in marine wildlife on a yearly basis, which is very worrying. I think that is one of our main challenges, especially regarding the sharks.
Mm.
At the moment, the last time we've seen a great white shark was in December last year in our
Gee.
area. Yeah, we don't see them anymore on a regular basis, but we are very fortunate that we see beautiful other shark species. So at least our
Mm.
tours go out every day. The guests are very happy. But that is a big concern for us, the sharp decline in numbers that we see. And yeah, I don't
So
really
but
think
what's the main reason for that?
it's it's definitely overfishing along the South African coast. As I said, pollution. Then we also have the two orcas that
Mm.
started to hunt sharks, and now they're not just hunting great white sharks; they also hunt any other shark species, and they mainly go for the liver. So they don't really. So the sharks wash out on shore, and that's when we can do a dissection on them and see exactly what the orcas did to them and took out of them. It's always just the liver that they take out. So those two orcas is a bit of a problem. But yeah, I think they are not our main problem. Our main problem are human beings that just do with the ocean, that just have no respect.
Mm.
And I always say for us that go out with the boat, we can see the problems. But all of us that's on land, we don't even know what's going on in the sea. We don't even know the big challenges that's out there. Yes, so
Mm.
I would say if we can get some um, government to help us to protect some areas, more areas around the South African coast. Yeah,
Mm.
that is what can help us and can help
Yeah.
marine dynamics.
Is there anybody that's particularly championing that cause for you? Like,
Before COVID, we did it ourselves.
yeah,
We had many court cases, and we had a lawyer that worked on this, and we spent thousands and thousands of rands on this. But obviously, at the
yeah,
moment,
yeah.
we don't have this financial support to drive this. So we try to speak to the minister. We try our best from our side that we can. But it's very challenging.
Well, if anybody's listening that can help Zile and the team at Marine Dynamics protect the shores of South Africa, then please get in touch. I'll put all the details in the description of the podcast. So, yeah, it's definitely a collaborative effort that we all need to go through to protect the wildlife. And interesting that orcas are killing sharks. I didn't really realize that.
Now, the orcas are definitely the kings of the ocean. They don't fear anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's quite. Have you had a chance to experience any similar products? Because I've had a great experience up in the Walvis Bay area with the seals and everything like that. Have you had a chance to do that?
Yeah. I haven't been done the Walvis Bay one. Wilfred, I've traveled extensively over the world to do whale watching all over the world. He has been, So, and it also helps our business because we want to stay on top and the best in the world always.
For sure. No, you've always got to, checking out what the competition does is.
The more we check out what others do, the better. But I think also these experiences are different in every part of the world. I mean, you see different marine. I've been so fortunate to went to Alaska to do trips, and I mean, it's just amazing everywhere you go. Although you might see sometimes the same kind of marine animals, it's different experiences.
I interviewed Duncan Greenfield Turk, who is a travel advisor here in the UK, and he's just been to Antarctica.
Oh, that is that is next level. It's beautiful.
Well, you gotta try, and that's the dream. I also went on a very interesting whale watching trip in Florianopolis, off the coast of Brazil, and they do the it's rubber boats, rubber dinghies you go out in, and I remember the whales actually touching the swimming under the boat and like rocking the boat. We were actually almost sitting on the whale's back.
Yeah. No, whales are amazing. They will never flip your bum, so you never have to be scared of that. But they do. They're very curious. Remember, they always come and look and have a look. Obviously, you have to have a permit to allow you to do that. But they are amazing. The whales. They will always come close.
And how's the shore-based whale watching in Hermanus going?
So that depends. Every year it's also different. We had a great year last year for land-based whale watching. So our southern right whales normally arrive sort of from June till December. They are around the South African coast. We actually have a pair that's now in the waterfront. I think sometimes there's some of them that we think just stay here. If the calves are not strong enough to swim back, they will just stay. So I actually saw them last 2 weeks ago from a boat there. But we don't have sun-right whales yet for the season. But it's always difficult to say. Every year is different. As I say, they normally come in a 3-year cycle, the sun-rights. 1 year they come to mate, 1 year they come to calve, and 1 year they just come to rest. So that they don't really feed when they are in our waters yet. So we always keep track of the numbers to see how the years go. But every year is different. But what I can tell you, if it's a good land-based whale watching year, we see it with the boat. We don't get so many people. Because it's just like if they just stand there and see them. But it's always a different experience on a boat, as you would know. As to watch them from there.
Yeah, I mean, just to see, be surrounded by them rather than just see them from that one angle. Yeah, I always remember that Florianopolis one because, I mean, it's, to actually be on a boat and be lifted up by the whale, kind of almost like a cat rubbing itself on the boat. Very, very interesting. Yeah. So would you say that the main thing that needs to change in your world of tourism is just more focus on conservation?
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I always say shark cage diving is not an ideal thing really to do if you think about it, but it's the only way to make people aware of sharks and what amazing species it is, and that we should protect them.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, should look after the ocean and yeah, the sharks because it's really important for the ecosystem and for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Zile. Thanks so much for joining me today on the podcast and getting your perspective on the world of marine dynamics and ocean-based experiences. And yeah, I would just wish you the best in rising up after COVID. I don't know if you know, Kuza means a new beginning, a new dawn. So that's why I decided to focus this podcast on how everybody's rising up again, and it's great to see, as I said, great to see the smiles, great to see the everybody getting back to work. Are you going to be doing the main shows this year, Ndaba and all that?
Definitely, yes. We're getting ready for WTM Africa in Cape Town soon.
Yeah.
And then definitely in Dava, and hopefully we will do WT in London, and hopefully one or two other great shows. So
that's
yeah.
lovely. And if you need any help this side, please reach out. I can always knock on some doors for you and spread the word about how great the experience is. And I'll see you at Indaba, and let's hope we can see you this side.
Thank you. Yes, and good luck, Graham. And thanks so much for this lovely opportunity. It's really kind of you. I appreciate it.
No, it's kind of you to be the guest. So thanks, Zile. We'll catch up soon.
Catch up soon. See you in Debs.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into KuzaCast, where we explore the world of tourism with leaders from all corners of the globe. Join me, Graham Watson, for future episodes as we dive into the latest trends and insights from the industry. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating, and we'll see you next time on KuzaCast.